Robert Pattinson's Batmobile has been revealed. We go over new information about Rise of Skywalker that comes from the novel. The Last of Us moves from movies to TV, and we review the newest Clone Wars episode, Castlevania Season 3, and more on your Herd with Nerds.
Hello. Welcome into the podcast. I'm Brett.
I'm Dorian.
And we got some interesting news for you guys this week.
Quite a bit, actually, compared to last week.
Yeah, this was just a gale windstorm of information that has either like all over the place, like confirmed stuff, really out there stuff, interesting stuff, just stuff in general, really.
Yep.
Stuff. And so we'll kick it off with some Star Wars news.
Why not?
But so we have The Rise of Skywalker recently came out with a novelization, and it has been kind of a hot topic.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely answers some questions that we had from the movies that were not addressed.
Yeah, so a lot of that being, how the Emperor, or not how the Emperor, but I guess how the Emperor's body is and why it is the way it is. Also, and this is kind of interesting. I haven't read the novel yet, and I don't know if I will. I don't usually read novelizations of movies.
Sure, yeah.
Unless I haven't seen the movie and I read the novel first.
You might make an exception for this one.
I don't know, because there's a lot of people covering this information, and kind of like people are doing like live reads of it and showing you the difference. So what's interesting, a lot of people complain about a couple of things in The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
They complain that there's zero like actual explanation to how the Emperor's back.
Right.
Or if he's a clone or if he's not a clone. And then also,
well, before you continue on, I do want to preface, if you haven't seen Rise of Skywalker, we are going to be going over spoilers.
But I don't care about you because
you should have seen this.
You should have seen this movie already.
Yeah.
And then the other being that once Ben Solo turns to the light, he doesn't speak.
Does he not?
I don't think he does.
Huh.
It's a lot of gestures and stuff. But even like that last scene where they kiss and all that stupid stuff.
Yeah, well, I thought
he might have said something before.
No, I thought when he climbed out of the pit that he got thrown in from Palpatine, I think he like said, "Oh no," and then and then he's like, trying to bring Rey back to life. And I thought he was saying something there. Maybe.
I mean, nothing worthwhile. I should say that. So nothing worthwhile. And in the novel, he does say something after he has turned into the Force. So it's very interesting. Anyway, so let's start with the whole the Emperor being alive. It has been 100% confirmed.
Yes,
that it was a clone.
Yeah. Now it's not a clone in the traditional sense that we know of Star Wars here, where it's the clone has its own separate consciousness, its own separate mind. It's essentially an empty vessel for Palpatine to inhabit here.
I mean, we don't know that though, because what could have happened is he made a clone and then inhabited the body.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant that like there was no consciousness in the clone.
No, I'm saying like the clone didn't have like its own consciousness that was separate from the original Palpatine.
Oh, yeah, right. So it's gonna be separate, like a separate being, basically.
Yeah,
it just
like,
looks
right.
And maybe acts the same as Palpatine.
Well, kind of like how with in Attack of the Clones, all the clones aren't don't share Jango Fett's consciousness.
No,
they're all their own
person.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, I think Star Wars Theory was like one of the first people to break this.
Yeah.
He got sent some information by someone who had an early copy from a Comic-Con of the novelization.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so I was listening to his stuff, and kind of what it brings up is that Palpatine is a clone. And there's kind of this exchange between Ben Solo or Kylo Ren at the beginning when he gets to Exegol.
Yeah.
And he's talking to the Emperor. The Emperor explains that to him. Now, that could have easily been in the movie.
No, it absolutely could have been, and it would have. And that's one of my contentions about this is, you have that big exposition dump pretty much at the beginning of the movie and explaining like, okay, like what the Emperor's been doing, kind of give you a vague idea of like why he's back and all that. But it's like they opted to not put that in there. So I don't know if that was just, maybe this was something that was done like post movie production where they decided to like say, okay,
expand on it a little.
Let's expand on this a little bit, because I mean, obviously we all knew that we were going to get more information just because that's just the nature of Star Wars. They covered like, all the gaps in like, lore or, plot holes with like expanded universe stuff with like books, movies, or games or whatnot.
I kind of hope they at least have maybe some deleted scenes of this. Yeah. I don't know if they even shot this. I think Ian McDiarmid actually came out and said that they did shoot this and he didn't know why it wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, but no, it's no, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, why it wasn't, beyond, if this was already something that was decided upon as they were making the movie, why it wasn't in the movie is beyond me. But that being said, this does mean that Palpatine could still be out there, because if this is like his method where he just has like a clone vessel and his spirit inhabits another clone, he could essentially be immortal here for all intents and purposes.
That's kind of what Legends did with him.
Yeah.
He had a bunch of clones and he'd basically clone hop.
Okay.
If he was about to die or something, he just hopped to the next body, basically.
Gotcha. Just kind of like a cloud backup storage for...
I mean, pretty much. And if you look at Snoke, that's essentially what he was.
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, that was the Emperor, like, speaking through Snoke, basically. I don't know if Snoke was a separate being at all, because we see all those clones that look like Snoke.
Yeah, multiple Snokes.
That may have been kind of failed clones of Palpatine, too. We don't know.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. No, it's interesting.
But, and he could have been decaying because same reason why maybe his current body was.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean,
they don't talk about that at all.
Yeah.
As far as how that works. Maybe a book or a comic later down the line I can see kind of explaining it. But for the masses that don't take in Star Wars information that way, they just see the movies or watch the shows, like, they're not even going to know that Palpatine's a clone. They're just thinking it's Palpatine.
No, exactly. I mean...
And so the reason that there's, like, a point of contention with this is because Anakin was the chosen one. He defeated Palpatine, which is true. Now, Palpatine didn't survive. He died.
He absolutely
and so, he just found a way somehow to come back from death. Now, we don't know what that looks like. I'm sure it'll be explained at some point, maybe down the line, maybe future movies. Another thing I thought was interesting, in the same vein, is Rey's father is a failed Palpatine clone.
Yeah, no, that is very interesting. So, I mean...
So, technically, Palpatine is Rey's dad.
On a technical basis, yes. I mean...
Genetic code-wise,
yes. I mean, obviously, this is a clone with separate consciousness and one that Palpatine didn't inhabit. And I think the reason was because it would not be able to, hold Palpatine's power for the most part.
Yeah, he was really weak, apparently. Like, he wasn't as... There's no way his body would have been able to handle it. So he was just a normal dude, and he kind of defected from that and joined kind of the...
Or did Palpatine let him go so he could produce an heir that could?
Potentially, I don't know. I'm not sure if they talk about that at all in the novel or not. And once he found out that he did have a kid, though, and he knew that Rey was strong in the Force, he knew that was like potentially his next permanent vessel. Yeah. Permanent being the longevity of the body.
Right, exactly.
And so we never really got that.
Now that does answer our the plot hole is like, who is willing to get down with Palpatine? The answer is no one.
Right. Yeah, he cloned himself.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to figure out this whole time.
But
it's interesting information. I think that should have at least the part, like, here's the deal. I don't care that Rey's dad was a failed Palpatine clone. That didn't need to be in the movie.
I mean,
it would have been interesting.
It would have been interesting, but at that point, it's like...
It would have been too convoluted.
Well, right. I mean, basically, at that point, Star Wars Rise of Skywalker is a busy enough movie as it already is.
Yeah, it's very busy.
If you introduce this whole new element to it, you're already overcrowding it.
Pretty much, yeah. Now the fact that he could, they've explained that while talking to Kylo Ren, it 100% should have been the movie.
Yeah.
Talking about how he's a clone body, he's looking for his new host type of thing, and
yeah, but
yeah, it was fine. The Ben Solo thing gets me too. So what happened with that is, I don't have the exact quote from the book, but basically once he dies, he said something along the lines of "No one's ever gone forever," meaning
I could come back.
Well, he's a Force ghost,
yeah.
but we didn't get to see that at all. That was the weirdest thing. At the very end, we get the twin sun moment. We get Rey and we get Luke and Leia and no Ben.
Yeah, no.
That was the biggest letdown. If they're going to CGI anything for this in future movies, I think that has to be it.
Yeah, you're probably right on that one here.
That has to be it.
I mean, call up George Lucas because you know how he likes to tamper with his movies.
Oh my gosh. So Dorian and I just rewatched episode 4 this last week.
Yeah.
So much bad CGI added to that movie.
Oh, no. I mean, basically,
finding clean copy, you have to go to the VHSs pretty much.
Yeah, but no, I mean, just real quick, brief tangent on that here. Basically, when George Lucas found out that, modern day CGI exists, and by modern day, I mean like in the 1990s when it wasn't like, it doesn't hold up. We're talking
PlayStation 2 graphics. Pretty much. Like, maybe that's even generous here. Who knows? But that being said, it's kind of like the equivalent of like a 8-year-old finding out that they can make YouTube videos here. Right.
It's like, no, you just shouldn't.
Yeah, just leave it out.
Just leave it alone.
I was really hoping when Disney Plus added those to
they would have the original cuts.
Because then they get that whole Jabba scene, which is not in the movie at all. Jabba's not introduced until the Return of the Jedi.
Which blows my mind because I grew up with, essentially the special editions just because I didn't have the original VHS copies here.
Yeah.
And so when I heard that Jabba was not in, A New Hope initially, I'm like, wait, what? How? But yeah, so.
Yeah.
But regardless, I mean, going back to the Rise of Skywalker talk, basically, I think we will get more information about Rey's dad because, I mean, that's honestly a story that I would really be interested in hearing about, like, who he was.
I'm sure it'll be a book.
Yeah, how things came to be with him.
Right.
Yeah.
Continuing our Star Wars news, a Star Wars game, Star Wars Maverick, may have leaked. It showed up on PlayStation Network. Mm-hmm. No details yet. That's all we got. And so if you're looking for a new Star Wars game coming out soon, there might be one. I don't know to the level of production or anything like that.
It's not going to be Fallen Order level. No. I would imagine just based on previous leaks that we've had of this ilk in the past that it is going to be probably a smaller downloadable game because there was like a couple years back where there was like a Planet of the Apes game that got leaked on PlayStation Network. It came out, I think, maybe a month or a few weeks later after that. And it was just a smaller game, just kind of more, I don't know, I think it was more of an adventure game where you like just make choices kind of similar to Telltale's style of gameplay.
That might be cool. I mean, it's like, especially if it's like a High Republic thing.
Yeah, I mean, well, and
like the first kind of High Republic really any bit of information other than the trailer last week.
Sure.
That'd be kind of cool, introducing the characters or what have you. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think you want to time that more with the release of the books, which, speaking of which, when are those books coming out? Do we know
yet? The first book comes out August 25th.
Okay, yeah. I would imagine you'd probably want to tie it in, more with those books here.
I mean, that's only 6 months away, so maybe it just leaked. I don't know how early they were thinking of putting it out, but
sure, yeah,
a couple months early. And
I mean, probably be out in, I don't know, maybe a couple of weeks or so, but
yeah,
I don't know, we'll see.
Yep.
In
other news, we got some Witcher news. So Vesemir has been cast, and it's not Mark Hamill.
Yep. So
which, if he's interested, I don't think he's doing anything right now.
Right. I mean, what Star Wars movie is he going to make now? And as far as I know, he retired from his Joker voice work, so he's not voicing Joker anymore in the Arkham games, and
making guest spots on the Flash, maybe.
I mean, so that takes like what 2 hours of his time.
Probably.
But anyhow, who did get cast is Kim Bodina. Now, I have not seen anything that he's been in. But,
Me neither.
I mean, he looks the part.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, he definitely looks like he can pull off the look of Vesemir. So I can't speak for his acting chops though. But I'm just really surprised that they did not go with Hamill on this, just because I don't think he's busy currently, and not to mention too, it's like, he expressed interest, kind of the same way Henry Cavill did when he expressed interest to, play Geralt.
Oh yeah, in Witcher,
like there were people contacting his agent probably the next day here. So I'm really surprised that they didn't go with this, just because it would be something that would draw in, people who are not already, watching the show here.
Sure.
Or at least like raise more awareness or, something, more notoriety. But
I don't know.
I don't know either.
All right. We got some DC news.
Mm-hmm.
Batmobile first look was released, and I think it looks dope.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this is not the Batmobile that we know from like probably the last couple of years in the comics. This is a very
it's not like the last decade, at least.
Yeah, it's definitely
not a tank.
It's not a tank. It's more of a sports muscle car. It's also looking kind of bare bones in terms of like armor plating and also just weaponry and gadgets. But what do you got on this car here?
Yeah, I think I love the muscle car look. It definitely is a throwback to like the 70s comic Batmobile, where it looked like kind of like a Corvette.
Yeah.
This looks like kind of a hodgepodge of a couple different muscle cars, like a Camaro, a Charger, and kind of a GTO, kind of mixed all together.
The front part of the body reminds me of the DeLorean here, just kind of like that box shape here.
Yeah, to me it reminds me of like a 70 Charger, or maybe like some of the GTOs that they have in the early 70s, or late 60s. And so I don't know what car it will be. I don't know if they'll ever even get to that, but it's just kind of it's a tricked out muscle car where he cut the whole back end out of it out and just dropped a motor in it.
Yeah.
So what that is telling me is maybe there's some gadgetry in the hood that pops up.
It's a possibility. Yeah. I mean,
because it was like bare bones, like you said, no gadgets on it, at least from, our view of it. We didn't get to see the inside of it.
Yeah.
And if it's just a really fast car, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Well, I'll get to this point in a minute, but it definitely does look like they are going with the more prototype look, just kind of like the same thing that, with the suit. The suit definitely looks more of like a prototype version or early version of the suit here. That being said, I am kind of surprised that we are actually getting a Batmobile in this movie, seeing how, the leaked pictures from earlier, he was on a motorcycle, and fairly basic one at that. I feel I was kind of thinking that they would actually not do the Batmobile in this movie and just, focus on kind of how it is in year one, because he doesn't have the Batmobile in year one.
This isn't a year one movie though.
Right. But I mean, they are definitely kind of like,
it's definitely his first Batmobile, I think.
Right. But they are definitely drawing inspiration from year one in some instances. But now, obviously, we haven't gotten a trailer. We haven't really, gotten like the full fleshed out details on this movie, or
even the like cleaned up version of the suit as far as the CGI and
all post production editing. And
so I'm sure it's all gonna look better. Like they released a nicer picture with Robert Pattinson in the Batsuit standing next to the Batmobile, and he didn't look bad. Like the ears looked fine.
Yeah.
It looked weird in that one shot because I think it was a stuntman, and
it's a possibility. Yeah. But obviously it's a little too early to tell on like, what this movie's tone is going to be, but just based on what we're seeing,
definitely grit.
Well, definitely gritty, but it also definitely seems like they might be going with a little bit more of a grounded, realistic, kind of similar to like the Nolan trilogy.
100%. Yeah.
I mean, that's the vibe I get. I don't know if that's what you get.
Yeah, I get that too. And there was also, this is all spoilers, I guess, but there was some leaked footage or maybe from a set of something similar to in The Dark Knight, where the Joker's got that guy bound up and he's like interviewing him, kind of, You know what I'm talking about?
Are you
Like
talking?
he sends the video out to everyone.
Oh yeah.
Similar something to that, but with a Riddler logo. And so I'm sure it's gonna be Riddler's probably gonna be the main protagonist or antagonist to Batman in this movie.
Yeah.
With people like Penguin and who knows who else showing up along the way to be a part of the thing. So
yeah, no, I mean, no, it'll be interesting, and as we get more details, which I would imagine maybe by the end of the year we might have a trailer.
I'm thinking Christmas time.
You think so?
Yeah, that's usually the season for big trailers, or this summer. I don't think it'll be this summer because they won't have enough footage. I'm thinking fall to winter. For sure.
Somewhere around there. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely interested to see a little bit more about this movie. I mean, I am a little fatigued on them having, like, them rebooting Batman within essentially 10 years, because Dark Knight Rises was 2012, Batman v Superman 2016, and now we get Robert Pattinson's movie next year here. Yep. So it's a little tiresome, and if you don't count Joker as well here, that's another one. But no, I mean, so we'll see as the information rolls out more on that movie.
Yeah. Henry Cavill as Wolverine, back as Superman. Do we like this?
So, well, what do you think?
So for me personally, like, nothing's been confirmed for the Wolverine role. It's just been like all but confirmed. I feel like a lot of people are talking about.
You think it's all but
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, if he's not, that's fine. Like, I'll be okay with it. But I think he could nail the role. Like, I think he has the physique, he has the attitude.
Yeah.
He has enough chops to carry a movie or a franchise, the X-Men, if he needs to.
Yeah.
And even him back as Superman, I'm fine with it. I mean, he is Superman in my eyes. So
I mean, no, he definitely has like a very Superman look here. I mean, say what you will about like the writing of like of his Superman in those movies, or even like maybe his like act, like what he brought to the character on that. He looks like Superman, like regardless.
Yeah.
Now, as far as my opinion on this, I personally don't buy a whole lot of stock in this rumor, just because I feel like we are really, it's too soon to like be talking about X-Men movie rumors. And I'll tell you why, because we just came off of a very successful career run of Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine. I mean, he was,
when did Logan come out?
2017. So, and obviously he is Wolverine to most people here, and that's what people associate the character with as of right now. I think you do need a little bit more time for that to happen. So if you say like do an X-Men movie, but you don't like have like Wolverine as like one of the main people or the main protagonist, and you wait a little while longer to introduce him and like set up like the ground team first.
Yeah, but we've had more recent movies with the normal team.
We have, yeah.
And so that doesn't make any sense.
But the reason why is just because half of those movies were not great.
No. So I don't think it's too early, and here's why.
Okay.
So you have this, I mean,
you spent
amazing character. You spent all that money to get them from Fox.
You did, yeah.
Why wouldn't you put him in a movie? Now, he doesn't have to be in a follow-up movie immediately. Yeah. I'm saying introduce the character in this movie.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
And then in 2 or 3 years, you have an X-Men movie or a Wolverine movie.
Okay, so like so introduce him, but not like fully integrate.
Well, I mean, how long was it that we had Black Panther around until he got his own movie? He was in like 2 or 3 movies, I think, before two movies before Black Panther came out.
I think it was just Civil War, and then like
no, he was in Winter Soldier too.
Was he?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm pretty sure.
No, I think you might be incorrect on that one, because
what happened when his dad died? What was that, Civil War?
That was Civil War.
Okay, yeah, then it was Civil War.
Yeah, I think you are right, because Black Panther had like his movie about 2 years after Civil War here. So yeah, no, we could see something similar to that. And then, as we were talking, I did kind of think about it. I mean, we did get the Spider-Man reboot.
Oh yeah.
Pretty quickly.
Oh
here.
yeah.
So, I mean, the only difference is like there were some people that were not or I would say a good portion of people that were not particularly warm to the Amazing Spider-Man movies. So that might be a little bit of a difference.
It could be, but
or play a factor, but
I don't even know if that was the reason that they rebooted it so quickly. I think it was just like, hey, we got this whole thing going and we just want to take it in a different direction.
Yeah.
But no, I think it'd be interesting because there's also rumors that Rogue's going to be in this movie. That's a good tie-in to bring. Wolverine just has to come in at the end or something.
Yeah,
like,
just like an Easter egg or a cameo.
Maybe he
like
shows up, or maybe some of the other X-Men show up. Maybe here's what I don't want. I don't want another X-Men origin movie.
No,
like not X-Men Origins, but like I don't want young Cyclops. I want full adult everyone.
No, I mean we've already, because we really did not get like really like too many like movies with like the actual like original X-Men team, like or at least like the main characters, like, you know, because Cyclops dies like pretty much in the first 5 minutes of X-Men 3.
Yeah.
Jean turns evil, and then you're basically left with like Wolverine and Storm and the B Squad, and even then it's like, you know, X-Men 2, they're pretty much scattered for the most part here, and like and then X-Men 1 is like really the only movie where they actually like are all together, team up on a mission here for the by and large.
If you don't count any of the newer ones,
right,
for sure.
Right, but no, I mean, no, I think here's the thing. I've underestimated Henry Cavill in the past in terms of like, you know, how he can play and all that, because, you know, he pulled off Geralt.
Yeah.
And I think he did a fantastic job. I think he's the best part of that show. And so I think, you know, in terms of this whole Wolverine rumor, I think he could pull it off. I would personally like to see somebody else, though. Like, because we've already seen him as Geralt. We've already seen him as Superman. I like a fresh face, typically, just to kind of, you know, deassociate my, you know, just like a certain actor with like, you know, a different like media or different franchise. I mean,
Chris Evans.
I know, but but you know, I mean, but that being said, I mean, I do want somebody who is probably shorter and stockier, kind of like how Wolverine is traditionally in the comics here, just because I feel like if you were going to do it, now would be the time to do it, in all honesty. But I don't have like any specific actor that comes to my mind though. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Cavill is reportedly back for Shazam 2 as Superman. We'll see. I'm okay with this. I mean, he is Superman still.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with Cavill as Superman because he really started to, I think, become more traditional Superman by the end of Justice League. He kind of became more hopeful, you know, more lighthearted and like all that good stuff here. I mean, if he does do this for Shazam 2, he needs to stick around. Like, he can't just be, you know, showing up for like maybe 5 minutes in the movie and then like he's never seen again or something like that. He needs to like actually be in it for the long haul.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
In other movie news, coronavirus pushes back James Bond all the way to, I think, November.
Yeah,
or something like that.
November, I believe.
It's supposed to come out in April.
Yeah.
I don't buy it at all. Not that there's a coronavirus. Obviously there is. I don't buy that that's the reason they're pushing it back. I think it's an excuse.
I don't know, because the thing is like the Chinese market is like one of the things that Hollywood does try to pander to here. And so they'll try to make movies that they think that will do well in China because it's shown to be a pretty substantial market for, you know, pulling in money globally here.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but I also am like, I don't think it's going to hurt that much. Like, I think people will still go out and see.
Yeah.
I don't know, though, because I was at Walmart this morning, and one of the employees, because I was getting a game for my brother for his birthday, and said some lady just came in and bought $700 worth of games because they want something to do at home while this is going on.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. $700 worth of games.
I mean,
if I was a child, I'd be about it. I'd be like, yes.
That's like... That might be better than Christmas.
Oh, 100% better than Christmas. Yeah. I never got $700 worth of games.
No, man. Anyway. Jeez, but yeah, well, because I don't know, because I've heard that they are projected to lose about $30 million by pushing this movie back here. So it seems like they are losing money because this was supposed to come out a month from now here.
Yeah.
It's also kind of interesting that they now that I think about it, that they did go with an April release just because the last 4 James Bond movies have been
all fall,
November-ish releases. So yeah, no, it's interesting. But in other related news, I think Marvel Studios and I think another big summer movie studio came out and said that they aren't going to be pushing back their release date due to the coronavirus here. So we'll still have Black Widow. Yeah, but no, it's interesting.
And then our last bit of news before we head to our roundtable review is Last of Us is going to get an HBO show.
Yeah. So Neil Druckmann, who is the actual director of the Last of Us video game, and Craig Mazin, who did the HBO Chernobyl series, he was the creator on that, are basically pairing up to make this show. And it will replace the Last of Us movie that was in development previously.
Okay.
Because there has been
They just got Disney Plus, is what you're telling me.
Pretty much here. But I think this is a good decision because I think the adaptation of this game fits well on HBO. It's a more darker, more mature story here. So I think HBO will lend itself to that. It is crazy to me that the guy that actually, created and directed this game is actually going to be a showrunner. I mean,
it's pretty cool, actually.
It is pretty cool, yeah. So, I mean, definitely, it definitely seems like it's going to be more true to, the actual source material. And I think this is going to be another push forward for, video game adaptations for movies and TV.
Yeah.
I mean, we're already starting to see successes, like I said, Castlevania, Detective Pikachu, Sonic, yeah. That being said, I do think they do have a little bit of uphill battle. For one, they have to distinguish themselves from Walking Dead.
Which I don't know anyone who still watches that show or did.
No, but I mean, that's the thing is like Walking Dead, I think definitely kind of cannibalized that market.
Oh, big time.
Pun not intended. But,
yeah. I mean, here's the deal. I didn't play Last of Us. I probably won't watch the show.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
But for those of you who did, this is exciting news.
No, I
can get behind that.
It is exciting news. And yeah, so I mean, you do have to distinguish yourself from The Walking Dead just because I'm pretty sure there are some elements from Walking Dead that are definitely similar to The Last of Us. I mean, obviously it's a zombie apocalypse here, but as long as you can have good characters, have good writing, good story, you'll be fine. But the other thing that I think they have to do is they have to combat the zombie fatigue that has been kind of taking place over the years. I mean, you won the clocks like about maybe 10 years ago.
Oh, everything.
Zombie was popping. Like there was zombie movies everywhere. There was like Z Nation. There was what
was that one with Brad Pitt?
That was Z Nation.
Okay.
Or no, sorry, World War Z.
Yeah. That actually was pretty good.
Yeah, and then you also had just zombies in like all your video games. Like there's a zombie mode in like every video game and all that.
Modern Warfare, yeah.
Exactly. So no, it's but now it's like that trend has kind of come and gone. And no, I think if you are going to get people interested, because you don't want to just get your fans interested, you want
to bring in the masses.
You want to bring in the masses, exactly. So
cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for our nerd news. We're going to be back in just a minute with some roundtable review. Welcome back. We're in our roundtable review. Dorian, let's. What do you got for us?
Well, seeing how we recorded a little early last week, we were not able to go over the second episode of Clone Wars Season 7. So we're going to do a 2-for-1 special for you today here. So we're going to be talking about Episode 2 and Episode 3.
Yep.
So
a little bit of spoilers in there too.
Yep. Now we will be covering spoilers, so you've been warned. So, all right. So, Episode 2. Why don't you tell us about it here?
Yeah, so a pretty decent episode.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing crazy. I mean, I'm glad that Anakin's back in the mix. So
yeah, get some lightsaber action and some Jedi action.
I mean, that's what we really want. Like, I don't really care about these clones that much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool. The Bad Batch they're a cool little group of clones. So it kind of revolves around Rex, the Bad Batch, and then Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
Rex goes where Anakin goes, pretty much.
Yeah.
Now, what is interesting in this episode is, it goes into Padme and Anakin's relationship.
Yeah. So real quick, so Obi-Wan knows about Padme and Anakin, like at that point in time.
I guess. I don't know. That was kind of weird to me because why wouldn't he say something or do like? I mean, there's not really anything you can do, I guess. But couldn't you expel him? Like,
well, right?
Maybe because it's war, they're like, we can't.
Yeah, I mean,
we can't afford it, type of thing.
No, and that's the thing is like we kind of talked about this, like you and I, like a while back, about how Obi-Wan's kind of like the, the by the book guy here. He doesn't make exceptions to the rules or tries to bend them or whatever. He sticks to it, and so for him not to know that he has Anakin has a relationship with Padme and not say anything about it definitely kind of puts things in a new light.
Yeah. And we don't know why. We don't know why he hasn't said anything, or maybe the Jedi Council is fully aware of this. Maybe they know that something's going on. They don't know to the extent. They don't know that they're married and are pregnant.
Yeah.
Now, I would think that they would know that Padme is pregnant at this point. I couldn't tell on the hologram if she looked super pregnant or not.
I don't think she did
not
yet.
Super
Super pregnant. No, she doesn't have the baby bump just quite yet.
Anyway, yeah. So that was interesting. Rex knows about it, obviously.
Yeah.
Basically, they have a whole setup for what they do when Anakin wants to talk to Padme, and Rex is in on it, and then. Anyway, yeah. So if you watch the episode, it's kind of interesting. Gives us a little bit more background into how he went about it, and
yeah.
But anyway, they go to this planet because I can't remember the name of the planet, but to find Echo. So this has kind of been like the theme of the first few episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a rescue mission essentially.
Yeah, so they're getting this distress signal from the planet, and they land there. They're attacked by these like bat things. I guess I'm not really bat dragon things a little bit.
Yeah, flying creatures essentially. Yeah.
And anyway, so they start talking to the locals, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna go take care of these guys, and we won't, involve you guys.
Yeah,
we're just gonna go take care of them."
Famous last words.
Yeah, and Anakin loses his lightsaber again.
My gosh, I feel like freaking Anakin needs a like those wrist straps that you have like on the end of a Wiimote or something
he needs
like that.
Lightsaber.
Yeah, no, he absolutely does. My gosh.
Wouldn't that be like if you got pulled by that creature, right, or snatched up, and you dropped your lightsaber, would your first reaction not to be use the Force to get it back to you?
No, that would be my first reaction if I had.
It's your life.
If I had magical space powers, I would be doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, what I thought was really cool, and you wrote this down too, was like the new droids that they have are pretty cool looking.
No, it's definitely an interesting design. They are very insect-like.
Yeah,
and that goes even further in
episode 3.
In episode 3, where they actually fly.
Yeah,
they actually eject wings, and then they start chasing after them.
Which makes sense because the guys that they're trying to rescue Echo from are part of the Techno Union.
Yeah,
which they're all about hacking and making things better.
Right. Yeah.
And so
they're kind of like the evil Silicon Valley of
definitely.
Star Wars. Yeah.
I mean, are they evil though? If you look at it, separatists technically are the rebels.
Technically, they are. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna have to rewatch the freaking prequels again.
We will. That's part of our deep dive for the next few months.
Yeah, pick apart like the politics and all that. So, but
yeah, definitely, it's interesting. Anyway, so they end up Rex ends up finding Echo, and there's a cool battle scenes. And then that's pretty much episode 2 for the most part. Episode 3 picks up right where they left off. Like nothing, like literally you don't skip a beat. Like they're still fighting outside the chamber that Rex found Echo in. And they have all those insect kind of looking droids that still look like the normal droids, just a little bit different. But yeah, they're there. They're fighting them all off. Cool action scene.
Yeah, now they're just trying to escape.
Now they're trying to get out of Dodge, and so they get Echo, they unplug him from the machine that he's hooked up to.
Yeah, which at this whole point, Echo has been used as like essentially like a human computer here.
Pretty much, yeah. So he's all cyborged out.
Mm-hmm.
He's got like a robotic arm. He's got robotic legs. He's got a robotic spine. It looks like.
Yeah, and looks like he's got some cerebral implants as well.
Yep. And so they rescue him. They get out of there. There's like a cool shot of that. I don't remember if you remember the bridge scene. It's like this really wide shot of like that bridge. I thought that was pretty cool.
No,
that was probably the best shot I think in the whole episode.
No, I think
this
you're
is
correct.
A very action-packed episode. You get to see Anakin being a baller, doing his thing. He's hacking stuff up. He's doing flips. He's doing force pushes.
Yeah.
He's being a baller essentially.
Yeah, which I mean, honestly, this is how Anakin should have been. Like from the get-go here, not how he is in episode 2 and 3. I mean, yeah, just going out, being essentially, pre-Darth Vader here.
Yeah. So, yeah, he takes down like this huge walker thing. And yeah, they pretty much, the whole episode is them fighting these things off. Mm-hmm. The locals don't like that they brought the fight to them. Some of the locals get killed because the droids basically fly over. That's how we find out they're flying.
Yeah.
Or they have like these big balloon things for the walkers.
Yep.
And then they land there. They're killing the innocent people, but the Bad Batch, Rex, and Anakin take them all out.
Yeah. Locals get involved too. They get convinced to join the fight.
And then basically they're like, you have to pick a side. Like, this isn't going to end type of thing.
Yeah.
And so, but they leave, and kind of like the cliffhanger of the episode is Echo could be evil.
Yeah.
Like, he might just be working for them.
Yeah, I mean, there's at the end of the episode, there's like that implication that there's something more going on with Echo here. And
yeah, because like Rex says something like, just like old times, and he's like, yeah, just like old times.
Well, and it plays like the ominous music when he's saying it.
Back,
but overall, my thoughts, I mean, granted, yeah, some good action, but this is just more Clone Wars. It's not it's not the finale season that I envisioned.
Me neither, really.
Here.
Me neither. Yeah.
I mean, unless they're just doing this quick arc and then they're getting to like the meat of things where things really start overlapping with episode 3. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, totally.
So, all right. Anything else you want to add on that?
Not really. I think they were both just, like you said, Clone Wars episodes.
Yeah, no, they most certainly were. So, all right. Next up, Castlevania Season 3 review. So this is going to be a spoiler-free review for this season. However, I will be going into spoilers for Season 1 and Season 2 just because they do play a factor on the setup for this season here. So, first off, Season 2, at the end of it, they kill Dracula. Which is really surprising just because that's been the whole setup this whole time and the main mission here. And so the whole time between Season 2 and Season 3, you're kind of wondering, okay, what is actually going to be happening? What's going to be the main storyline here? It picks up about a month later after Dracula has been killed. Sypha and Trevor Belmont are on the road. They're just basically going town to town, fighting monsters, ridding all the night creatures that were left over from Dracula's army. Alucard is guarding the castle, and he trains two new vampire hunters that fled Japan. That basically their community was controlled and by vampires, and so they want to be able to liberate their community and their people over there,
sure.
And just rid the vampire threat. Camila returns home with Hector as her prisoner, and she's basically trying to recoup or replan and refocus on what is actually going to happen and actually carry out her plan for her domination here, because in Season 2 she portrays Dracula and tries to take over the whole human race with on her own here basically. So, and then Isaac is off in the desert. He's out for revenge for the people who betrayed and killed Dracula. So he's building his army of night creatures and kind of traveling along the way, meeting people and getting more resources and all that. So that's kind of the basic setup for this season. So in terms of like things that I like about this season, without getting too really into like any spoiler territory, the action and the animation has definitely received an upgrade here.
So with that being said, I know you're probably getting to it, but like a lot of places are giving this like insane scores.
Yeah, so like IGN did give this a 10 out of 10 here.
Yeah.
So, and you want to know if it's
right.
No.
Okay.
No, I definitely think that is I definitely
biased.
I definitely think that's, you know, a little overblown here, or a little too generous for this season.
That's fair.
Now, here's the thing. Just my background real quick, I guess we'll get into it about Castlevania. I've played, you know, some of the games. I played Castlevania 4 on the Super Nintendo. I played some of the DS Metroidvania games. I played Symphony of the Night. So, I mean, you know, I'm not like a fanatic of this series, but I definitely have appreciation for it, and I definitely enjoy the games.
Sure.
That being said, you know, season 1 and season 2 of this show, I definitely think are, you know, probably some of the best examples of video game adaptation that we have. I still don't think it quite is like the blueprint model that every video game adaptation should follow per se, just because I think they do take liberties in terms of like the mature tone. It's definitely a lot more mature than how it is in the games, and some other things as well. But overall, I think, you know, this is a pretty good series here.
Cool.
So getting back into what I like. So the action is definitely, I feel like the action animation is definitely a lot better in this one here. That was one of the things that I've kind of always had a little bit of an issue with this series, and it's not quite the level of like Avatar quality animation and action just quite yet, but it's definitely getting closer here. And it's at least
which is hilarious because that show's 10 years old.
Right. Yeah. Well, or even like Legend of Korra, even. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, well, Avatar The Last Airbender is more like 15 years old, but Korra's about, Yeah.
And this season definitely managed to stay interesting throughout, because one of the things about the last 2 seasons is they pretty much the majority of the season is kind of set up, build up, you know, and kind of like a slow burn. And then you get to the end, and then that's when the big stuff happens here. You have the big fight scenes, you have the big confrontations, and all the plot threads kind of come together here. This one kind of goes with a more of a Game of Thrones style approach of storytelling, where you'll have multiple characters in different locations with different story arcs for the season. So if there's one story arc that you're not quite feeling, you always have this other story arc that's going on that will keep you entertained while they figure things out here. I think, you know, as per usual, like some of like the last episodes, or like the later episodes of the season are the best, just like how it was in season 1 and season 2. Good action, big action set piece. And it definitely does keep in line with like the non-animated writing style, because I feel like most animated shows kind of go for a different writing style. They try to go to like more locations, incorporate more action. This kind of feels a lot more in line with like if this was a live action show. It just happened to have like, and just happens to be animated here.
Nice.
And I think Sypha and Trevor's story arc has a pretty good amount of intrigue. Now getting into what I didn't like. So they definitely pushed the envelope further with the mature content, the kind of stuff that you do not see in the games. And that was like, and like I said, I definitely think you can make Castlevania rated R, but I definitely think you should be within confines here, or like, you know, you shouldn't necessarily go outside of like what was necessarily in the game. Right. My own personal opinion, but it does definitely seem like they are trying to be too edgy at times here. I still wish we got more big action scenes throughout the season instead of just like, you know, one big one at the end. I do like where Alucard's story arc for the season ended. I think it's pretty interesting of like what they're at least implying what they're going to be doing with that character. I didn't like how it got there. I can't really get into it without spoiling anything, but I just thought that was like really weird and kind of garbage. But Sypha can be a little annoying at times, but that's nothing new. And then this season does feel like it's more of a setup for something further down the line. It doesn't have too much connectivity with the multiple storylines at this point in time. So, yeah, but and then one other side note, this is only applies to you if you're Christian. There are parts where it definitely kind of goes out of its way to be a little sacrilegious.
Like, just blatantly, like...
Yeah, pretty blatant.
Okay.
I mean, so if you're Christian, it might bug you. I mean, it kind of did bug me because I am Christian. But if you're not, then probably won't bug you too much here.
Sure.
So overall thoughts, I mean, I do feel like this season is like 2 steps forward and 1 step backwards. It makes improvements, but it also creates new problems.
Okay.
I enjoyed it overall. I think if you like the previous season or, season 1, season 2, it's worth a watch. So that's about all I got to say about that.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. So up next, there's a new limited series on FX called Devs. And I've only watched the first episode. Apparently there are 2 episodes that are available right now for streaming and watching. Basically, this is going to be spoiler free, and I won't be able to give you too much details on what it is because, again, spoiler free. But basically, what it is it's a show that focuses on a couple that works at like a cutting edge technology company. Nick Offerman is the head of this company.
Love him.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I haven't seen this show, but I love Nick Offerman.
And well, that's
Ron Swanson.
And that's what actually drew me into the show. It's like, oh, Nick Offerman's gonna be in this show.
Well, yeah, and that's funny that you got brought into that because I almost watched a crafting show that he's on with.
Amy Poehler.
Amy
right?
Poehler.
Yeah. No,
and then I saw the intro. I was like, no, I can't do this.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but getting back to it. So, Nick Offerman in this show, he's sporting a beard, which
that's what he does.
That's great, and he has like a He-Man haircut here, which is I think kind of hilarious. But
love it.
So basically, what happens, without getting into like too much spoiler territory in this first episode, is the boyfriend of the couple gets promoted to something called devs, which is basically, long story short, the most secret part of the company. And it's also the most important part of the company. And what the
secrets usually are.
Yep. And what they're doing is apparently they're doing groundbreaking research here, but at least in this first episode, we're not exactly sure what that is here. It's still kind of left up to like what exactly is going on. And, there are mysteries and questions that are presented that need answers here. And so they're really building up this intrigue. And that's kind of getting into the things I like. I mean, I do like the level of intrigue that they are going with it. I do like seeing Nick Offerman in a different role than what he typically plays. And also has some pretty cool visual aesthetics that they go with too. I don't know if the technical term is cinematography, just because I'm not one of those guys who, studies film or whatever.
Sure.
But getting into what I didn't like, I think the main actress was his girlfriend. I think there are parts of her acting that are not very convincing here. And I don't know if that's just because of her accent per se. Maybe, maybe not. But I think she's supposed to be Chinese American, but yeah, I don't know. And the other thing I would say that is a little bit of a detractor for this first episode is it does have a little bit of a slow start.
Okay.
But overall, I like what I've seen so far, and it has me interested to see what happens next.
Nice.
So,
cool.
Next up, you read the new manga by the Naruto creator called Samurai 8, The Tale of Hachimaru.
Yep.
So why don't you tell us about it?
So yeah, the only reason I don't really read manga. I will watch anime. And I only watch very specific anime.
Yeah, you're not.
I like powers and fighting.
Yeah.
Not into any of the rest of that stuff.
Sure.
So I heard this came out a while ago. This is the first in print it's been. I think they released them online, and they're I don't know how many chapters they've done. But this was, I think it was the first 6 chapters, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. I read. It was a pretty quick read.
Okay.
I mean, no time at all, and you're through it. It's a comic book, but it's thicker. I mean,
okay.
But I mean, you could sit down and power out a graphic novel pretty quick, you know.
No, you can here. I mean, it's not a traditional book.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, I've never read manga. I know how it should be read, and it's even comic books in general are confusing to read. How to read it, you know, left to right, up down.
It can be, you know, you're trying to figure out which panel comes next, and
right,
you know,
so it's all backwards if you haven't read manga before. It starts from the right side and you go left.
Yep.
Anyway, besides that, I think it's a really solid comic. Now, like I said, Volume 1's the only one in print. The second one I think comes out in a few months, and I think you can see it online before you can find it in print. But basically, what this story is about is Hachimaru is this kid. It starts out, he's got a lot of medical issues starting off, and basically his dad has been taking care of him for a long time, and he's just very frail. Like that's just kind of his character at the beginning.
Okay.
And so we first meet him, and in order to be free from all this stuff, he has to be kind of reborn, and it has to be at the will of the gods. And he is. I'm not going to get into how that happens, but he is. He gets like kind of a new body, basically. So it's kind of like, it's very much like looks kind of feudal Japanish, but very futuristic technology, if that makes sense.
So, okay, so it's combining like, you know, feudal Japan with like just sci-fi more or less.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right.
So pretty cool. So, and his dog's also kind of transformed. So he had like this dog companion. He's transformed into this bigger dog who can manipulate his body into different forms. So basically,
so they both go Super Saiyan within the first.
He like the boy doesn't go Super Saiyan. He just is like normal now.
Okay.
He's a samurai.
Okay.
And you know, pretty powerful. Like all of this is a setup pretty much for the journey. But he wants to be the best samurai there is. Kind of his intrigue from the samurai came from a video game he plays, and he's like the top ranked player apparently, where it's like the samurai battle game that's done in VR. Okay. And so there's this, basically the way that all this kind of goes down is the character Daruma, I think is how you pronounce it. He's a samurai, but he's also like a cat like looking thing, and he's found, and he tells him about the samurai, how to kind of go about it. And I mean, it's really just like a story of a boy who's never been able to leave his home, going out and exploring the world with these insane powers that he has, or is learning that he has.
So coming of age story.
Yeah, totally. So then it kind of progresses through, and a character named Nanashi is introduced, and which means, I think it means no name, or like they don't have a name. And so, and you don't know if it's a boy or a girl. So
it's like so it's like that Haku situation that we had.
They don't even know if they're like a boy or a girl. Like in their head, they've had that conversation.
Oh, really?
Well, I don't know if they're crazy or if their cybernetics actually speak to them, but the character has 2 cybernetic arms. And they're like talking to her.
Right, yeah.
Or him. So not really sure as far as like the political side how I feel about this manga, but anyway, yeah, pretty solid. Like the action's dope. Like he's OP from the get-go, at least against these enemies he's fighting. He's fighting like guys who come into like this dojo he found where Nanashi is, and they're like these pig things. They have this tank, and he like slices the tank in half.
I mean, you know, he's gonna get his butt kicked.
Oh yeah, he will.
On.
Yeah,
I mean,
in classic
shonen manga.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just really setting up kind of, the story. And I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it. I think it's different enough from Naruto.
Okay.
For it to stand on its own. There's a lot of cool intrigue that happens. You're like, wait, who's this guy? Wait, how does this work? What are they looking for?
Yeah,
they're looking for these keys essentially for some reason. I don't know why yet.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, definitely leave some mysteries and some questions that you want answers to here.
Yeah, and in the very beginning, it was like this god-like looking figure talking to this person, and you're not really sure what's going on. Talking about the samurai, what they are, kind of giving you background of what the samurai are in this world. Yeah, but they haven't been back in the story since. But anyway. Yeah, so it's, Hachimaru's kind of like a Naruto type character. He's not as he's not as big of a buffoon, I guess.
Right.
But he's a young kid. He's excited. He's, going on in his adventure, basically.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me more of Dragon Ball Goku.
Okay.
Like when he's little.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so So that being said, will you be continuing to read the manga or picking up the manga, or are you thinking?
I'll probably like once I catch up to where the digital, like however far the digital copies are, I might just go digital.
Okay.
And save my money.
Sure.
It was really cool having the first issue, you blow through it so quick. It's almost like why. I mean, collecting wise, I see why.
Yeah, collecting wise, but I mean, like manga are like what, like $5-10
So
a
like
pop?
$10 a pop.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not cheap for like how quickly you go through that. Here,
Yeah,
you know?
totally, exactly. So I'd rather have a novel.
Yeah,
where it takes a little bit of time,
or like an omnibus or something like that. Here, where you just have like the first like 10.
Yeah, totally, like a thick book.
Yeah, exactly.
Of comics, but yeah. Anyway, so no, I thought I'm really excited. Like his dog can so. Before we even meet Hachimaru, there's a fight between two samurai.
Okay.
And they have companions as well. I don't know if they're both dogs, but they might have looked similar to that.
Okay, so it's a standard.
And they become armor on them.
That's cool.
Like they're I don't know how it happens.
So they morph into armor.
Yeah, basically
for their samurai.
Yeah, and then there's still skeletons that will fight.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's interesting, and then they have like an ability to draw, kind of like almost Bleach, where they have like their swords, like that they like. Basically, they pull it from within themselves,
okay,
and it's like their bunkai or whatever, and then they have their different forms. So I'm almost certain there's gonna be lots of transformations in the show, like there are in many, especially Naruto. There's so many different forms Naruto has.
Yeah,
and so we'll see that in this played out. I'm excited for like the story building to kind of keep happening, and I'm really excited for. I'm almost certain they're making an anime or gonna be soon.
Yeah. Okay. So there's no official.
I don't know. I haven't looked into it.
Now, when did this series debut? Was it?
I think it was late last year.
Okay, so
in
it's
Japan.
So it's pretty early on.
Oh yeah, it's super early.
So they'll probably maybe next year we might see an anime adaptation. Give enough time for the manga to kind of get out ahead of itself, and then we can get like 5 or 6 seasons of filler. That way,
I don't know what they'll do.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I thought it was good.
All right. Well, that's the show.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. We greatly appreciate it. Check us out on our social medias, and also stay tuned for our Thursday throwback. This Thursday, we are starting our Star Wars watching bonanza.
Yep.
Starting with episode 4. So the way we're going to do it, we're doing it a little bit different.
Yep.
We're going to go start with episode 4, episode 5, then 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
Then 6, then 7, 8, 9.
Yep.
And if you want to know more details on that, you just have to listen to our Thursday throwback and we'll explain a little bit more. But yeah, thank you guys for listening and have an awesome week. And remember, everyone's a nerd about something.